Hi guys, welcome to my affordable watch collection. My name is Aviv, and today we are going to take a look at a Swiss-made automatic GMT watch with roots that go back almost 70 years, a modern reissue of a watch that was made for pilots, that was worn by American Air Force pilots during the Vietnam War, and that has even been to space, the Glycine Airman 18, reference GL0229. This watch belongs to subscriber Alex, who was kind enough to let me choose a watch out of his collection to review. I was always curious about Glycine, so this is the one I chose. Thank you very much, Alex. Glycine is a Swiss brand that has been around since 1914. The Airman line of GMT watches was first established in 1953, after Glycine had recognized pilots' need for a 24-hour world timer watch. The Airman was manufactured in many different versions since then, and became a favorite among military and commercial pilots alike. It was also worn by astronaut Pete Conrad during the Gemini 5 spaceflight. In 2016, Glycine joined the Invicta Watch Group, with Invicta's primary involvement on developing distribution and marketing strategies for the company. Their watches are still being manufactured in Bienne, Switzerland. This is a discontinued model with very limited availability today, so it's hard to pinpoint a specific price. Alex paid around $650 for it about 6 months ago. He bought it from ashford.com, which is an authorized Glycine dealer, but it seems to be all sold out at the moment. Let's quickly go over the packaging. Inside this branded cardboard box, we have a rubberized watch box with the Glycine name and logo embossed on top. It is pretty plain inside. The watch is presented on a cushion. It had a little plastic tag on it, and that's pretty much it. Besides that, we have a little envelope with a paper 2 years international warranty card and a lazy printed instruction manual page. Let's take a closer look at the watch. The width of the case is 39 mm. Its thickness is 10.5 mm. The distance between the lugs is 20 mm. Lug tip to lug tip is 46.5, and the watch weighs 75 grams. The dial is matte black and pretty busy. There's a lot going on here, so let's go from the outside in. On the very edge of the dial we have 1 to 24 Arabic numerals printed in white to track a second time zone with the 4th GMT hand that completes a full cycle every 24 hours. After that we have a white printed minute track with regular 12-hour markers that allow you to track the main time zone. We have single buttons on the 12 and 6 o'clock positions, and circle indices everywhere else but the 3 o'clock. All indices are printed with luminescent material and surrounded with printed golden frames. On the 3 o'clock position we have a date complication window surrounded with a white frame. The date wheel is white and the numbers are printed on it in black. On the inner circle we have golden numbers indicating the minutes in 5 minutes increments, where the 60 and 30 markers are missing. The words Swiss Made SL are printed on both sides of the 6 o'clock baton. The letters SL refer to the lume compound used on the indices and hands, Swiss Superluminova. Glycine and the Glycine logo are printed in gold under the 12 o'clock marker, Airman in white beneath those, and above the 6 o'clock marker, automatic, world timer, and 200 meters or 660 feet, referring of course to the water resistance, again in white and gold. The handset is unique to the Airman family, and just like the dial, is a direct descendant of the original 1953 design. The 3 main hands are gold colored, highly polished, flat, and filled with lume. We have an almost syringe style minute hand, a broad arrow hour hand with a needle tip, and a super cool elongated and pointy counterbalance that reminds me of a stingray's tail, and a lollipop seconds hand with, again, a pointed needle tip. The fourth hand is the GMT hand, and this one is painted white and has a red painted tip. The lume on the hands and dial, as indicated on the dial, is Swiss Superluminova. It shines in a bright green light and is actually pretty darn good, considering the fact that this, despite the 200 meters of water resistance, is not a dive watch. The indices will naturally fade out first, but the hands carry a fine amount of lume compound to make them last a few hours and possibly even the duration of a full night. Covering the dial is a flat sapphire crystal, slightly protruding over the bezel. It has some anti-reflective coating applied to its underside, and that should provide both scratch resistance and nice clearance. The case is made entirely of 316L stainless steel and has a highly polished finish everywhere but the tops of the straight lugs, which do feature a fine brushing. The lugs angle down all the way below the case, and that helps the watch conform very well to the wrist. Two crowns are found on the right side of the case, both screwed down, decorated and oversized. The crown on the 3 o'clock position has an engraved grid pattern, and after you screw it out, you can twist up and hand wind the movement. The winding action is so smooth that you hardly even feel you're doing it. Pull the crown to the first position, twist down to change the date, and up to move the GMT hand. Pull the crown to the second operating position, the seconds hand will stop sweeping, and you can change the time. The crown on the 4 o'clock position is another relic from the original Airman design of the 1950s. When you screw it out, it releases a metal plate that has teeth that hold the bezel in place. The stainless steel bezel has a coin edge, but it is pretty hard to grip. The bezel insert is made of stainless steel as well, has a brushed finish and 24 hours markers engraved and filled with light brown paint. The even hours are marked with bold Arabic numerals, while the odds are represented by arrow tips pointing towards the center of the dial. After you screw the 4 o'clock crown out, you can operate the bezel. It has 48 clicks and it rotates bidirectionally. To keep this video from becoming too long, I will upload a separate video on how you actually use a GMT watch to keep track of 3 different time zones. Turning the watch over, we are met with a stainless steel screw-down caseback with a sapphire display window, showing off the movement and the cool details on the custom rotor. It has Glycine Airman and the front end of an old plane printed on it with black paint. Just a nudge at the rich history this watch has. We also have the watch's information etched around the crystal. Glycine, the model number, automatic, all stainless steel, 20 ATM, that's 20 atmospheres of underwater pressure, equivalent to 200 meters, the watch's serial number after that, and sapphire crystal. The movement powering the Airman 18 is based on the Sellita SW330, the GMT version of the SW300, a Swiss-made high-beat automatic movement that has 25 joules, beats at 28,800 beats per hour, making the seconds hand tick 8 times each second and creating that smooth sweeping effect of the seconds hand. It has 42 hours of power reserve when it's fully wound, and features the veteran Inca Block shock protection system that protects the movement against the drops and blows of daily life. It hacks, hand winds, has a quick set date complication, and the 24 hours GMT hand. Alex put his watch on this brown leather strap with metal rivets, which suits the watch extremely well, but it isn't the original strap the watch came on. Since this isn't my watch, and I don't want to risk damaging the back of the lugs by changing straps, I won't be showing it to you on different straps like I usually do, but I'm pretty sure it will look awesome on many different straps, especially vintage leather ones. The original strap is also thick and dark brown leather, with contrasting light-colored stitchings, Glycine logo pressed on the keeper, and Glycine engraved on the brushed stainless steel buckle. Here it is on my 7-inch wrist, and as you can see, this is a great wearing watch. Perfect size for sure, beautifully proportioned. I like that it has a rugged tool watch look, an almost steampunk look with those two large crowns sticking out of its side, while it still maintains a vintage, almost dressy look with that graphic dial and the gilt hands. It's a very comfortable watch, not too heavy, but has its presence on the wrist, and the slim profile makes it a non-intrusive watch that will slide right under your sleeve. Legibility is pretty good, but it might take some time getting used to everything that is going on the dial. Now let's go over the pros and cons of the Glycine Airman 18 as I see them, starting with the few cons I managed to find. The first thing is the bezel that is a bit hard to grip. I imagine that you won't have to play with it too much though, and once you get to know the watch, you can find a better way to grip it, but the bottom line is that it is not very grippy. Next couple of cons have to do with aesthetics. The first being the crowns not aligning with the case. I think they could have done that better and pay more attention to detail. And the second one is the white date wheel. I just wish it would have been black to better match the dial. Another thing that might point to a lack of attention to details is the presentation of the watch. The box it came in, I think it's just a bit lazy packaging on Glycine's behalf, and I would surely expect something a bit nicer from a watch that can sell for up to $2,000. Some might point out the busy dial as a con, but I actually really like busy dials, so I'm okay with that, and for me it's even a pro. We'll finish with the pros today, and I think that in the Airman 18 case, the pros outweigh the cons by a good margin. First and foremost, we've got to give Glycine credit for the design of this watch. This is how you reissue a watch. The iconic design manages to be modern, gorgeous, and functional, while staying true to the original design first introduced almost 70 years ago. Which brings me to the heritage, both of the brand and of the watch itself. When you wear an Airman, you become a part of its history. From the pilots who wore it to the astronaut who wore it in space, this watch is a part of a rich dynasty of Swiss-made tool watches. That brings me to the next huge pro. This is a functional tool watch that will allow you to track 3 different time zones while being both dressy and rugged, built to withstand anything you'll throw at it, with 200 meters of water resistant, stainless steel construction, sapphire crystal, and a reliable Swiss-made automatic movement. Well, that's my take on it, but I want to know what you guys think about the Airman 18. Please let me know by dropping a comment below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my affordable watch collection, and make sure you hit the notification bell as well, so you won't miss any of my affordable watches related content. You can also follow me on Instagram and get to know me and my collection a little bit better, get all the news about the channel, and connect with me on a more personal level. If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy one of these too as well. I want to thank Alex again for letting me take a look at this watch, and thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time.